like the rest of South Africa, you were unsure as to what Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi was talking about when he made, at his press briefing, when he made allegations against certain higher up political people being linked to gangster syndicates. I think we're onto something right here and now. Very easy to see. And it also explains why Cyril Ramaphosa kicked for touch, commission of inquiry, rather than just a straightforward court case. Because this looks so damning. But he's trying to protect his mates. Who is the president trying to protect? Well, straight into the fold comes our former Minister of Police, Bheki Cele. Now, you'll remember the cat in the hat. You know, he was the police minister. Before that, he was actually commissioner of police before he was fired from that position because he had done a dodgy property deal. Well, it seems like that minister never quite changed the way he operated, and he remained suspect to the very end. So let me explain to you what he did and how easy this is just to understand what was going on. There is this rather unsavory gentleman, Vusimusi Kat Matlala. Now, the Kat Matlala is a tenderpreneur by day and seemingly a gangster by night. You know, he's been in jail before. This time he's in prison again for murder of 2 people that he seems to have called the hit on. And the case that brought him down was in fact an attempted hit on his former lover, girlfriend, whatever it is, not his wife, by the name of Tebogo Tobajani. There was an attempted hit on her, wasn't successful. She went to the police, and so the whole story unraveled. But let's talk about the former police minister. He has gone on record as saying he didn't really know Kat Matlala. They weren't friends and they weren't business partners. But somehow Kat Matlala ended up getting a 360 million rand police tender. And the tender was to screen 180,000 police men and women for health checks, right? They decide to give that tender to a company that isn't even operational. They run out of some mall somewhere in the East Rand. It's not like a hospital group. That tender beat out all the medical groups that had tendered on the thing, and Kat Matlala gets the 360 million rand process to go and screen all the police men and women. Nice business if you can get it. I'm sure we could find ways to do some of the work. Anyway, as this tender was going along, 2 things happened to Kat. Maybe he ran out of 9 lives, but one thing was, as I said, this story arises that he's tried to kill his lover. And this is after it becomes evident that he's done a lot of business with the Tembisa Hospital. Yes, the same Tembisa Hospital, which was a den of iniquity. And he had been mentioned, he had been identified by the late Babita Deokaran, the whistleblower who got gunned down in a driveway, as one of the people that was on the receiving end of very dodgy tenders at Tembisa Hospital. So that is not being investigated at the moment. But anyway, the bottom line is that Kat Matlala became too hot to handle. And on a day last year, this was ahead of the elections, they realized that they better cancel this 360 million rand tender because the police were about to arrest him. What does our police minister do to somebody who wasn't his friend or his business associate? On the same day, he tried to phone him 10 times. What do you think he was going to do? Shoot the breeze? Why would a police minister phone a criminal 10 times? A man he claims he barely knew. I mean, it's fairly obvious that he knew the guy. And you know what else makes it obvious that he knew the guy? Is that he stayed in his penthouse apartment in Pretoria whenever he was in Pretoria. And yet, The former minister claims he didn't really know the guy. Now, I don't know about you, but if I've got a penthouse apartment, some lavish place, I'm not going to give it to anybody. Generally, I might let the odd friend or business associate use it, but he was letting Bheki Cele use this as his place of abode when he was in Pretoria. If this thing doesn't stink to high heaven, I don't know. It's hard to see what else could have been at play here but a dirty deal. Understand that this is remarkably similar to the underhanded case that got Bheki Cele kicked out as Commissioner of Police in the previous administration to that. Friend of his, Rusha Bangu, suddenly gets a tender to go and put the police in new offices worth hundreds of millions of rand. Bheki Cele says he doesn't really know anything about it, but he just happens to be the guy handing out the tender. Man, I tell you, in this country, you really want to have good friends like these because they can do wonders for your business. But if you're looking for the link that Mkhwanazi was talking about, here it is right here. Former police minister, hand out a 360 million rand tender to somebody who's not qualified to do the work. Phone him to warn him that he's about to be arrested. You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to work this crime out. South Africa, we are being stolen blind, but they can't keep this information quiet anymore. There's just too many of us watching. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you again on the Political Insider.